Okay, we are live. It is Tuesday. We are needle felting today. We're starting a new one today. Today we're following along with Bob Ross's Joy of Painting Season 31, Episode 11, Lake at the Ridge. We're going to pin the link in the chat to the tutorial in full. So if anybody wants to go and see that without interruption with sound and slightly larger, you are free to do so. We're using it for inspiration. We're going to attempt to follow along. Never really comes out quite like theirs, but that's okay. We don't want it to be an exact copy. So, I'm using up either not felt that's not quite what I wanted for other projects, or scrap pieces that I had left over from various other things. So that's why this piece is kind of weird looking. We just need it to be a little bit bigger than our workspace, that's all. Just to account for any shrinkage that might happen. Because as we're stabbing through, the fibers in our base material here will get pulled together, so you might have a little bit of shrinkage on your main piece, so just give yourself a little bit of a buffer zone. We're making magnets out of these right now. So, this is my base for my magnet. It's what I'm going to attach our finished needle felted product to, so that then I can put the magnets on the back of this, and it just gives it a little bit more sturdiness. And we're going to make a picture frame out of these guys that will end up getting attached on, and it'll just look like a little tiny painting for... Oh, this one's bent. Oh, it's not bent, it's broken. That's okay. That shouldn't be an issue. So that's why I'm tracing around that. I do need my tape. I forgot to grab that. 1 second. Okay. Tape isn't mandatory. It just helps me make sure that I am within a certain work area in case I lose track of my pen line. That's all I use it for. Because sometimes the pen line can get a little skewed, shall we say, as you're working and fibers get tugged in different directions. So just find it helps me keep things a little bit more to size. It doesn't stop it from pulling and shrinking a little. So this is approximately 3 inches by 3 inches. Like our wood guy was 3 by 3. So that's why I'm like approximately, because by the time we get it in the piece and then the frame on it, might be just a hair over, like 3 and change, but close enough. To the 3 inches. Okay, set that to the side. All right, now we don't need all this extra felt hanging out here. So I'm just gonna trim off the extra here. Let's see, is that one big enough? That might be big enough for one more on this piece, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. This one's not quite big enough, so that one we will put in our discard pile. Okay. Oh, that's all my water. Yeah, I was forgetting something. Would it really be an art stream if I wasn't disorganized to some degree, though? Probably not. Alright, so it's a little smudge, a little dirty on there. It's fine. Doesn't matter. It's gonna get covered. We're not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna zoom us in a little so we can get a better idea of what we're doing. Now, Steve is doing this one. And I did position it to where they've gotten started. And he put the sky in. And he put some water in. So, it's almost equal. But you know what? You can do your ratio however you want to do your ratio. For ground to sky. Now remember, these are small. They are 3 inches. We are working tiny. So, if you're not that comfortable working that tiny, you can work bigger if you really want. We've worked on an 8x10 size. Those would take us several weeks for each one. I'm thinking about doing some that are 5 inches that are just like a little wall hanging. We'll see how the magnets continue to go. Oh, my allergies are so bad. It's been a tough morning. So, for the sky color, wait, which do I want to be the sky? This one looks a little bigger. I'm going to make this my sky. So, for sky, I'm going to go with cornflower, acrylic yarn. You can use roving. I'm using acrylic yarn. And then for our water, I'm going to go with just denim. I don't like my water and my sky being the same color. If you want them, excuse me. Oh, I had a rough night last night. Husband had a rough night, so he was up and down and awake most of the night, and then I kept waking up because he wasn't where he was supposed to be, so disturbance in the force kind of thing. It's like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Ugh. And then with the allergies on top of it. Come on. There we go. Alright, so got my finger protectors on. Set my needle up in my handle here. I did clean up the mat a little bit. We got a good amount of fuzz off of there. All right, I'm trying to make sure that I'm spreading around where I'm working on this guy, so I'm not just stabbing the same places constantly. So that's why we're a little bit over. Oh. All right. And yeah, you can use whatever you want. I'm using acrylic yarn. It fits my budget so much better than other things, than the roving. And then I definitely have enough to get through multiple projects. And it just works a little bit better. Okay. Probably could have made that piece a little bit bigger. So these always end up getting a little bit trimmed off the edges when everything is all said and done. And that's fine. So since I never know what might end up getting trimmed or what might end up getting covered with the frame, I try to make sure that everybody gets covered properly, because after we do all of our stuff and then we get the frame on, see, like when you get that up to the edge, that section's covered. So I'm still gonna fill it in though, because you never know if things are gonna get stretched or shrunk in, and like I don't want a gap, essentially. Now Steve brings a whole different energy. His looks very much like early spring meadow with the colors that he chose and went after. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Didn't get much done yesterday after stream. Husband had his Shadowrun game, so it was kind of like a rush to get cleaned up from stream, and then we took the doggos to the working place. And then we had to talk the one into eating dinner. He's been extra picky lately. And then then I had to make dinner. And then it was time for dishes, and he ended up stopping early, and by the time I sat down to start doing some editing, oh, that's right, I did get something done. I got the last two Honey, I Joined a Cult sessions that I had to edited, and I got 3 uploaded to YouTube. And then I was starting to edit the speed felt, the last speed felt that I owe you guys. And then I'll be free to work on some other stuff for a little bit. And he finished early, and we realized that we needed to go to Walmart. And man, it was quiet at the Supercenter. up in Fayetteville. Oh my goodness. University graduation was over the weekend. It was wild how quiet it was in there. I was like, wow. I was like, why is it so quiet in here on a Monday night? It's not normally this quiet. There's usually some kind of chaos going on in there. And we're like, oh, graduation. Right. That's a lot of people that left town. I try to overlap my bits of fluff here, just so I don't have to patch seams of where they join together. It's just easier in the long run. Okay. Get that end tacked into there. It's always kind of the slow, boring part where you're just putting in the block of color. Getting that background done. But still has to get done, so it's not like we can skip this step. Doesn't quite work that way. Okay. Looks a little crooked, but it's alright. It'll be alright. Now, you don't have to use any water. I use it sometimes if it doesn't feel like I'm able to shape the fluff the way I want it to be. Where my hands just don't have quite enough friction going. Happens sometimes. But it's not mandatory. Now the roving will like stick to itself a little bit better. But you can totally do this with the acrylic yarn, hence, you know, we've been doing it for a long time with acrylic yarn. Now, while I may have added to my yarn collection, excuse me, I have not replaced a single shade yet. And some of these colors we use pretty regularly. It's kind of surprising how much distance we get on it. All right. Get some more of this fluff pulled out. Just trying to get some tissue paper prepped last night while I was video editing. I think I have enough for the flamingos, but I don't think I've got anywhere near enough for the beach yet, so. The flamingos are what I have to work on next on that. If anybody's seen the photos that I've been posting to Blue Sky. That section in there just looked a little bit loose. Like as I was tapping it around it, it just didn't quite look like it was stabbed to my satisfaction. And you know, you can attach this as much or as little as you want. If you want it to still have some fluff and 3D-ness to it, then don't stab it as much. Just make sure you've stabbed it enough that it's attached. Kind of situation. I'm using a wool mat. There's foam mats, there's brush mats, there's all kinds of different mats that you can use. I prefer these ones because I feel like they hold up a bit longer, a bit better. You don't have to do this step. This is just something I like to do. I find that the front tends to lay a little bit flatter if I brush the back down a little bit. And with these kind of mats, they do suggest, you know, you move around. You're not just stabbing in one place constantly. So, I am trying to do that and rotate the mat every so often. We had to go vote this morning. For some school elections. The school district wanted to raise the millage rate. I'm like, oh no. Nope, 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 nope. Which seemed kind of strange because they're like, oh yeah, we want to raise it to this. And nobody was really saying how much that was going to increase our taxes. And somebody did the math. And they're like, if your house is worth or whatever, or you paid like 320,000 to 400,000 or whatever, they're like, if this goes through and is approved, that means you're going to be paying an additional minimum $320 on top of what you're already paying. And then some people were like, oh no, 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 no. I'm already paying X amount of thousands of dollars in taxes here. No. They're like, I'm tapped out. And I'm like, yeah, when you actually do the math and people see the math, it's kind of like, what? No, no. No, 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 no. But then somebody else made a post. They're like, oh, well, you know, they roll back millage rates as the town grows, so you won't even be paying that much more for that long because it gets rolled back every so often. And I was like, that's why our taxes went down so much. Because, like, we were really confused this year. We're like, why is it so much lower? We thought that somebody messed up somewhere, and then they're like, oh, that's why it went down. And there's a lot of people on extremely fixed incomes in this town. Like, barely scraping by, asking anybody on Facebook pages, can you please help me get this bill paid? You know, it's like, they're gonna shut my electricity off. I've been in and out of the hospital. My disability hasn't come through yet. They're like, I'm desperate for any kind of help. This place said they can't help me till this date. That place said they can't help me till here. And so I'm like, and y'all want to raise the property taxes? Okay. And I'm like, well, if all these new houses just got built and there's more people moving in, right? Why does the millage have to go up? Why exactly are we increasing this if there's more people coming in? You can't just, like, push this project back, like, a year or two and use those tax dollars? But suddenly the school district has a bee in their bonnet about wanting to take out bonds with some kind of interest on them to get this done, and I'm like, huh. There's been a lot of weird changes going on with teachers and principals and vice principals and stuff coming through the district, and something just doesn't feel quite right about all of it. And I'm just like, uh-huh. And it's not that they want to build a brand new elementary school for the entire town. Like, it's a band-aid what they want to do. They're like, oh, and it helps us plan for the future. And I'm like, but it's not. Because you're not building a larger elementary school. You're building a smaller elementary school that's only going to house X number of grades. And then you want to make the old elementary school now a middle school, and then you want the new middle school to be a junior high. Like, they're playing, you know, move around, and I'm like, why can't you just build a larger elementary school that will actually encompass the students that you have, and tear down the old elementary school? Because somebody's argument was like, oh, well, all the new technology that'll be coming into the new school will really help the students learn, but you're only putting it into one of the schools? So that means they're going to have this new technology in, like, kindergarten and first and second grade, and then when they get to, what, third and fourth, however they were going to split the schools up, they're not going to have it? Huh? Like, that doesn't sit in my brain very well. It just, something didn't feel right about this. I'm like, no. Y'all aren't planning for the future. You're planning for right now, and it's obvious. You're just trying to slap a band-aid on it. And the fact that you want to redistrict the schools that are here, so that means you need all brand new teachers for one of these schools, because you're not going to have enough teachers for what you want to do, and you're having trouble retaining the teachers that you have, because, and that tells me that there's some other form of nonsense afoot, because you've had long-term teachers that the kids loved, and suddenly they're being ousted over ridiculous things, being told, oh, well, you can resign or you can be fired. And it's like, what? Okay. No. And there's been stories of parents pulling out their kids from the school district lately over other issues, and I'm just like, no. This isn't addressing any of the parents' issues. Now, him and I don't have a kid, so we don't have a kid in the school system, but we still pay taxes in this district. So I'm like, we need to go pay. We need to go vote. So, quite honestly, if we did have a kid, we probably would not have them in this school district. Not after what I've been seeing some people say. I've gone to private Catholic school and I've gone to public school. And I do not think that a public classroom should have certain things in it that belong into a private religious school. So they're fighting about that instead of, actually taking care of the kids and more worried about what they're learning. So, no. I'm good. Now will enough people turn out to vote on a school board election and this millage thingy? I don't know. I feel like all of this should be done on like normal voting day in like November. Why are we doing this now? When there's less people likely to turn out. Is that what it is? People aren't able to get off from their job. Like, seems like an odd time to be doing a vote, but maybe it has something to do with the fact that it's the end of the school year. Maybe. I don't know. Everything about it seems kind of weird. Okay. We'll get all of this. Worked into here. Is a little bit of a thinner spot. Right in there. So I'm gonna fill that in. Now, these bits on the edge, right, that look a little more, I don't know if stabbed is the right word. They look a little bunchy. That's not gonna matter so much. Because like I was showing you earlier, when you see like how, I don't know if it's coming through, it looks a little bunchy. You can see a little bit of the pen line there. Once we get it trimmed up, right? And then these guys get put in. You're not gonna see that part, so Alright. Let's flip this over. And we'll start on this side. But the good thing about these being so small is that we can get through them a little bit faster. Sorry, I was checking on the husband. Alrighty. So we're thinking about doing a face camera. I would have to get a better face camera than what I've got. And I don't know if I can have... I guess I could have two cameras running at once. I don't know how I feel about face camera though. Kind of hate face cameras. Like, my face will just get bright red and stay that way for hours. And I don't wear makeup anymore. I really never have liked the sensation of makeup on me. My skin feels like it can't breathe. And I really need to re-dye my hair. My pink is growing out quite a bit. But I was trying to hold off until we're about to go to Florida again, so my mom can see my brother. Still don't know when we're gonna go, because there's some silliness going on with my uncle that lives down there. First they diagnosed him with cancer, and then they went to go do another test, and they're like, we don't see it. And they're like, what? Like, we don't see it. You need to get another test. They've been to a couple different doctors. And I'm like, what? How is it there and just vanishes? Are y'all sure you're looking in the right spot? So it was, oh, you've got cancer. Oh, no, you don't. So I don't know He has to have another test done the end of the month. I'm like, y'all sure dragging your feet trying to figure this out, because the type of cancer it was, you need to really get after it. So I don't know what the deal is now. So we weren't sure if we were going to have to go sooner or not. Which makes it a little bit harder to figure out when we can go, because we have to get the house sitter or the house sitter slash pet sitter, aka the mother-in-law, to come back to her own house. I always get super stressy leaving the dogs with her. Okay. Alright, probably one more bit of blue fluff here, or this shade of blue. Alright. Trying to keep that horizon line straight. Sometimes I have an easier go at it than others, but not too bad. So I'm pretty sure Steve pops a mountain into this at some point. He started getting fancy with clouds and adding like pink to titanium white, and I'm just like, that's not really gonna translate well for us, so I think we'll just go with some white cloud. And that dump truck is struggling. We do not live on that big of a hill. Not really. Either he's got an insanely heavy load, Or he's having some tricky issues there. I'm not done stabbing that section. That was getting a little bit of a weird seam. Oh, hold on one second. That was odd. I've never heard our caller ID say it 3 times. It's usually just 2. Looks like the phone calls are starting early today. Oh, for Christ's sake. Give me 1 second. weird. Okay, sorry. We had a phone call from the same place, like back to back. Like as soon as it hung up, it started again, and we're like, what? So husband decided to answer it because we know his mom's currently somewhere up that way, but she has a cell phone, but we're like, why? And when he answered it, nobody said anything. So we're like, huh. The town is smaller than ours. It looks like the population of a couple of cows and maybe like 10 people. It's almost up to the Canadian border, and we're like, why? Trying to figure out why somebody in this town would be calling here. And he just texted his mom. Be like, are you guys okay? Because we just got 2 phone calls back to back from somewhere up that way. It was probably just some kind of scam call thing. We've been getting a lot of calls from New York lately. I don't know why we've been getting so many calls from New York, but we have. Doesn't look like that really helped much with that line. Maybe it did. I don't know. Doesn't really look like it, though. It's probably about as good as we're gonna get. Okay. It won't be that noticeable by the time we get everything else worked in here. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna grab our watercolor. So that is going to be our denim color. Alright. So we're gonna start to work on getting our watercolor worked in here. Now this might be a little bit dark for water, but I feel like it's this like kind of bluey gray, and there's enough shading variation in it where I feel like it kind of works. Excuse me. Okay. So I didn't have quite enough to make it all the way across. That's alright. Not a huge deal. Okay. Now I'm using a small gauge needle. I don't know the number of it. My kit did not come with number sizes. It came with letter sizes, and it was just letter S. So unfortunately, that's the best I can tell you. I don't know. It was just a basic needle felting toolkit off of Amazon. Pretty much, like nothing really super fancy involved with it. I mean, it had a multi needle handle, had the single handle. It had small, medium, and large sized needles. Um, it might have had some little animal eyes with it, maybe. I didn't go with one that had a whole bunch of like little critter findings. Or I tried not to because I wasn't planning on doing a bunch of critters. So I tried to get mostly just what I needed. It came with these guys. It had a little tiny foam pad in it to needle felt into. And I don't remember how much it was. I think it was under $20 though. Might have been closer to 10, but that was several years ago. Now the shading variation on this guy can make it look like there's a thin spot when there isn't. So sometimes it does drive me a little batty. Sometimes. Alright. You can see that my tape isn't quite, my tape shifted. It happens. That's why I'm trying to just use my pen line, but my tape is there just in case I lose my pen line. Well, how could you lose your pen line? I can get, like, once we get the background filled in, we probably won't see that pen line very much. Because it will be under fluff. There's lots of ways. So then we've got our tape line there as our extra guideline. Kind of feels weird to be almost done a season of following Bob Ross stuff when last time when working on the 8x10s, I think it took me, what, 2.5 years? It feels so strange. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure the section in here is actually attached. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. Well, son of a bitch, is it? That actually might be a thin spot. Because it does kind of look like it now, doesn't it? When in doubt, put a patch on it. Because it's going to be easier to just deal with it now than to decide, oh, that probably was a thin spot much, much later. So I'd much rather just fix it now, even if it didn't really need fixing. Alright. I think I just filled this fluff bag too. And doing these small guys, we don't use nearly as much fluff. Felt like I had a fuzzy in my eyelashes. That's never a fun sensation. Okay. Again, I just want to try to stay on the pen line. This little tiny gap here shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be. If that even remains. Because by the time we get done, I think there's a mountain or grass or something on the side. One of them. Can't remember if my brain's inverting that image or not. But then once we get done, then we have to put our magnet base back on top and trim up the edges, so it might not even really be visible. Like it might end up getting snipped off, and then our frame will more than likely cover anything else that decided to get a little unruly there. Okay. Not doing too bad for an hour so far. Moving along pretty good here. I almost started a few minutes early and then I got distracted. Okay. So, crash. So if we like sit that bad boy in there, like the top and the bottom might not get trimmed that much, but the sides might. We'll see. Every one is a new adventure. Never quite know how the stuff's gonna behave. Alright. Just keep on stabbing. And in fact, it kind of looks like the other side might be a little bit straighter. So if that is actually the case, then we will use that side. Okay. Stabby, stabby, stabby. As we are getting all of our watercolor attached into here, I am going to trim off that bit. I don't really need that much overhang. But that does mean I need to come back in here and kind of go at all the little loose ends that we now have. Try to get all of those attached down into our base. Cow cow, behave. I can hear you not behaving. Now, Steve took it all the way down to the bottom. Sorry, that section there looked a little less stabbed than I prefer it to be. Since we were here and looking at it from this angle, might as well. Get on into there. We're almost done the water. Maybe one or two more fluffy snakes and we should be looking pretty good. That down into there. There. And a little bit of water, just like a drop. That's what I mean when I'm saying little bit. I'll dip my finger in the water, like just the surface of my finger, like not dunk it, just touch the water surface, then you'll have like a drop of water on there. And then I'll just like slide that across my palm, and then that's just enough friction for what we need to do here. Okay. I might need to do one more touch-up pass along this bottom edge here. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing for it. If that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. Okay. There we go. Sometimes if it doesn't want to pull up from one section, try a different spot to attempt to pull it up from. So yeah, I'm going to take just another little bit of fluff and just make sure that that bottom edge is fully dealt with. So we're going to trim as close as we can without damaging anything. Don't forget, I am zoomed in quite a bit, so this is not all that big. I mean, as you can see, my palm covers it, so hand really, but it's not that big. Okay. And I am on the edge of my mat for a reason, just trying to make sure that I am stabbing in places for a little bit that I don't normally, just so we can get a bit more even wear out of this guy. I think we started using this guy when we started this magnet project. So it is a newer mat. It's not brand new. So we've gotten, what, 20 stabbing sessions on this guy. And pretty heavy stabbing sessions, because we're not just doing critters here. That's pretty good. We feel a little crooked, but I'm not sure if that's just an illusion. Could be. Oh no, hold on. I think we need a little bit more in there. Hold on. I'd rather be certain that we are good. Pretty sure we will be, but I'd rather be 100% certain. And if I have to trim some of this off, then I have to trim some of this off. But I'd rather be over than under. Over we can fix a lot easier. Over is way easier to fix. Then you just trim a little bit of it off. Under, you have to hope that your positioning is good and that your frame really is going to cover everything. Okay. I think that side feels like it's definitely crooked, doesn't it? Well, even if it is a little crooked, I think we can clean that up when we get towards the end. So I'm going to take that bit of fluff and we're going to tuck that back into its bag. So hey, we are 2 colors in. Alright, so let's see what Steve has in store for us next. We are just about 3 minutes into the tutorial. It's a 25-minute tutorial today. Alright, so he's blending. Okay, so he's gonna grab liquid white, titanium white, and a touch of, oh gosh, that's a lot of alizarin crimson. So his clouds still look white. with just like the most hintiest hint of pink to some of the tops. I don't know that I'm gonna do the pink. Because it's gonna look a little strange with us doing it. With paint, you can come back in and blend it out. Fluff doesn't really blend like paint does. He's kind of just like blended them to nothing. What are you doing, Steve? White, Prussian blue, and crimson lizard. Oh. Um, that's a color. Steve. My guy. It's not really purple. I don't know. Alright, I'm just gonna advance that just a little bit, see what he's doing. Okay, Steve, I'm gonna pause you there, my guy. We'll use that. Let's concentrate on clouds first, so we don't get too overwhelmed. He like blends these clouds into nothing. Almost looks like a stormy sky. Okay, so my clouds usually take me a little bit of time to do just because of how I tend to do them. So we go a little bit. It's a little bit wispy here. You know what? That's probably too much. But then I kind of wrap it around itself. It's gonna be noticeable once we start. It's kind of got a circular motion to it. And this is just part of it so far. Like, this isn't the entirety of the cloud. We're building our cloud. As big and fluffy and noticeable, or as subtle and barely there as you want to do, I suppose. Actually, let me come over here. Let me come over here. So just like little chunks, really thin stringy bits. And just gonna kind of wrap it around itself here, because I want it to have a little bit of that like circular kind of fluffy swirl. Now, he didn't quite start in the corner. Kind of just dropping down from here. And, you know, just figure out how you want to do it. Doesn't need to look exactly the same as Steve's. Just kind of figure out your shape and see which way your cloud wants to go. And you can go with smaller lengths of fluff if you want to. Don't have to quite go with this size. And that's why we have the finger protectors on, because sometimes the fingers are in the way. Just trying to hold that in place until we start to get it really attached in there. And sometimes the fluff is going to do what it wants to do, especially when you're working smaller. So, like, I've got a blue spot in the middle of my cloud there. That's alright. I mean, clouds are going to cloud, right? So it might be a little better that we have that. Looks a little more cloud-like. Here, I'm just trying to kind of fill in the bottom of my cloud here. Give it a little more body. I think I'm going to take it up a little bit further. Just so it's not quite shaped like that. That's a little strange. Alright, so come on now. Wrap around yourself here. It's so wispy, it just wants to float. And I kind of tuck a little bit of the outer bands underneath of it sometimes. Just to kind of, so we don't have a donut hole there. Kind of fill it in. And does it really hold on to its like fluffy circular movement feeling? Sometimes it doesn't. It's all about the journey of building your cloud and how you want your cloudy guy to look, right? Sometimes I go with a little less fluff and build them a little bit slower. Okay. And we're just building our cloud. Stabby, stabby, stabby.
Just let you know they're okay.
Oh, they finally answered
yeah,
you?
She got back to me. They're
okay.
fine.
So I do notice that the phone hasn't rung since. Which is kind of weird. Unless it was just somebody spoofing a phone number from there. Because, I mean, talk about a farm community.
Maybe they just dialed the wrong number.
I don't know.
Possible.
There was like exactly 3 parcels of land for sale there on realtor.com. There was 1 trailer, I think, and 2 houses. That was it. That town looks so small, I was surprised to see that they had a volunteer fire department. So, work on getting this bit into here. And I think I'm gonna try to take it up a little bit further, going off the edge here. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but I think it comes out a little bit better. Personally. Okay. And get the one finger in the danger zone there for just a moment. Okay. And again, you can build your clouds however fast or slow you want to do. If you'd prefer to do more like a cartoony cloud, that's fine too. Like, I'm slowly getting it worked up to that upper corner there. For some reason I thought the mountain was sitting on that side. I do wonder how many times Bob made Steve paint this before painting it on air. Because, you know, it's said that Bob's painted his stuff 3 times. Like 2 practice and 1 on the show. So I can't help but wonder if he made Steve practice that one. Steve's moving with a purpose, so I'm not sure if it's his nerves. I don't think he ever really liked being on TV. He never really seemed all that comfortable. But he was definitely moving with purpose on everything he's done so far. And I mean, he is under a time constraint, so I can understand why. We are not under such time constraint. We have time. I noticed a weird little break in between those two. That I wasn't really happy about. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to do anything?
Got most of the water in me so far, so.
Okay.
What are you leaking about?
Hmm?
Nothing. Snuffles is leaking.
Because it snuffles. And she's a licky critter. Okay. We will get this last guy kind of worked into the corner up here. Make sure we're attached there. Well, I mean, we could probably go one more. Let's go one more. Let's give that a little bit of a thicker bit coming down there. Wrap this guy around himself. Come on. There we go. There. And let's see about attaching that on up into there. Make sure all of our loose bits are jabbed into place. If your needle's resisting a little bit, go a little bit slower. And you might have to move to the sides of it. Don't force it through a spot if it's resisting, because then your needle's going to snap. Nobody wants a snapped needle, trust me. We've been there, we've done that. Plenty of times, it's not fun. I haven't had to order new needles yet. I still have some from my toolkit, but not the point. What are you doing, Snuffles? I heard you over here. Alright, so then this guy is kind of hanging out over here. And we'll just slowly work our way through this one. So we went to go vote this morning before we took the dogs to the board game place. And as predicted, because Zuzu didn't get to go before we went, he started howling and ended up waking my mom up. We had slept in a little bit. His husband wasn't feeling that great. And he was up most of the night. And of course, Mr. Howley Boy had to howl, even though we told him we would be right back to take him. We had to go do something first real quick. Because we didn't know how long the lines were going to be, and we wanted to go early. Plus, with stream today, I didn't want to get stuck waiting in a long line and be late. But there really wasn't any line. It wasn't like there was a whole lot to really contemplate. You kind of knew what you were doing going in.
Well, there was only 3 things
Yeah.
to vote for. 2 of them were not really thought-provoking.
Yeah. The longest wait I had was to put my ballot in the little ballot box. Because I was trying to give the older gentleman room in front of me. They're like, oh, just put it in after he's done. And then he was standing there talking to somebody about stickers. And, you know, old guy, I didn't want to rush him. I wasn't in a huge, huge hurry. And they're like, oh, you can go and put that in. I'm like, alright, I just didn't want to crowd the guy. And we'll work on getting this one kind of popped in here. I kind of like doing it in the small little circular bits because it feels more like you're building a cloud fluff by fluff, like little poofy by little poofy. So it just feels a little more cloud-like. Or maybe I'm just a little unique in how I'm viewing building them. And I kind of feel like doing it this way, your clouds really don't come out the same. Like each cloud comes out a bit different from each other, which is good because, you know, no cloud is exactly the same. They're all just a little bit different. Okay. So, oh my goodness. I haven't even had any allergy medicine yet today, and we're already sleepy. So you're already sleepy poo. I'm not sure how far over I'm gonna bring this bit of cloud. Don't know yet. Might bring it down just a little bit. Fill out the bottom of them. I like to keep our frame bits a little bit close at hand so I can get a better judge of what might be covered up. Alright. Start to fill in the bottom of this guy. Like, I feel a little silly taking this much time on clouds, but at the same time, what difference does it make? How long we spend on a cloud, right? If it makes us happy, and we're happy with how it's coming out, that's all that should really matter. Now, I don't add water to my finger for forming these, so I just kind of want to see what it's going to do. And I kind of want it a little bit more pulled apart, because then we get some more breaks in the cloud and you can see a little bit more sky shining through it in spots, and it feels a little more natural. So that's why I'm Did those beads just brush against the wall? Okay. Because I heard a noise that almost sounded like a crab claw against glass, and I was like, what? Yeah, that's why I was like, no. If we move my desk, I think we're gonna have to take the tank down.
Try to take the tank down.
Alright, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more to this cloud here. It feels a little small. I just want a little bit more fluff on it. Okay, that might not be so bad. That might look adequate. Let's pop that off of there. Get a better look. Yeah, I think that'll do. I think that'll do. Alright. Tuck that extra fluff back in our bag. Alright. Now. Our mountain. I have no idea what color to do this. He mixed Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, and maybe the tiniest bit of white. But it looks like a very dark blue, almost purple. Now, I have a dark purple, but it doesn't really feel purple. I almost want to go with like a navy. But I'm not sure if I am right in my thinking here. I'm trying to see how far he pulls this out. So it's almost to the other side, but not exactly. All right. Let's think about this for a second. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? This is a bit of a tough question here. Hmm. Okay. I guess we will go with navy. Now, I've got two navy. Well, no, I've got dark denim or I've got navy or midnight blue. So that's midnight blue. This seems a little more grayer. Does it? It's dusty. Let's go with this one. Although I don't know if we can really move my desk. It would mean moving the Elgato. Potentially. I don't know if I want to move the Elgato. Alright. So, this I do need a little bit of water on. Alright, so I'm just trying to get like a stretched out. Oh, that was a little too stretched. I didn't want it to do that necessarily. Alright. Just a little bit of water on my fingertips. Okay. So, how do I want to do this? So it doesn't come quite all the way over, although we can have ours come over as far as we really want to. So just kind of work on our peaky friend here. So ours is going to be a little bit differently shaped because we don't have as much room. And then kind of wraps around. Kinda. Like the second half of this might get cut off a bit. It's always a little tough to get the mountains in working small, because I always feel like I'm not making them the right shape. Ow, don't be knocking stuff over. So that actually kind of feels like it should be a little bit. Shaped just a little bit differently. Okay. Now, let's start filling this guy in. See how we do filling in here. Now we're gonna fill in this whole section here. As best as we can. I do have it upside down at the moment, because that is what's going to be easier for me to see. Okay. So I'm going to just try to clean up that edge just a little bit. Working in smaller amounts to get this filled in. It'll just be a little bit easier that way. I'll say this color does look a little bit darker once we get it stabbed in. Now, I'm probably gonna make sure that I come back and don't have any thin spots where the sky is shining through, because we have to highlight and shadow this guy too. And I don't want any thin spots to be confused with any of that. This isn't a bad color. I actually made some decent progress, I think, excuse me, so far today. Okay. So one of these little 3x3 magnets takes me about 9 hours to do. Roughly. Now, if I actually wanted to sit here and stream for 8-9 hours, we could finish one in a session, but I don't want to stream for that many hours in one go. And some days it's just not feasible. So this is from Simply Chunky by Paintbox. This Navy Night. Now I did have that spot a little bit thin. I didn't use any water to kind of tighten up our fiber before I stabbed that section in. And I mean, that's fine. We just have to add a little bit more on top of that. It's not a huge deal. I mean, even the section I used a little bit of water on did the same thing, so. Alright. For some reason, that section is just being a little bit stubborn. I'm not putting much weight on this little tail of fluff. It was just my finger gently resting on it, that's all. I think there might be some trees or something in here at some point. Just don't know where the trees are yet. Because I remember looking at the last photo, like the finished photo last week, but I don't remember where all everything was located. Okay. So how hot is it where you guys are today? It was pretty toasty already at like 9 o'clock this morning. It's around 80 right now. It was a lot warmer than I was expecting it to be today after it's been so chilly at night. bit more fluff here. Tomorrow we'll be back in Planet Zoo and be trying to finish up our second monorail station. Like, we need to finish our stroller parking area in front of it. And I think we've got a little more landscaping to do around the second station. I think. Well, we might almost be done. It might just be the stroller station that we have left for the most part. And then I just need to check the lighting situation around both stations. And then double check that the tunnel's not too dark. I don't necessarily think I need to add specific lighting. I might add some like spooky decal eyes on the one side. Trouble seeing where my line is here. Kind of got that folded up on itself a little awkwardly. I need to fix our mountain peak there. Like, it's hard enough to do mountains and this stuff for me when we're working bigger. Trying to do them smalls. Definitely a feat of patience. At least that's what it feels like. Alright. We're getting there. Ever so slowly. Ow. Heck was that? Something stabbed me that was coming off the mat. That was weird. Okay. We'll fill in that bit because there was a little bit of our sky color poking through there. This takes a little bit of time to get it filled in, that's all. Okay, so we just have this little section there to still fill in. Okay. Oh, it's actually, oh, it feels like 83 actually. We're not supposed to have any rain or anything until maybe this weekend. All right. So let's work on getting this guy. Popped into here. Okay. Almost done this part. Almost. We're getting there. Okay. This color seems to need a bit more layers on it. oddly enough. I'm not really pulling it all that tight. Not really pulling it at all. Just trying to get it filled in. Alright. So, just have a little bit more to go in that section. Oh, my fluff escaped my hand. This color's not bad. I feel like Steve's might be slightly more gray. Slightly. Just another couple more pieces. You alright? Did you put the air back on?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I'm a bottle and a half in now, so.
Huh?
I'm a bottle and a half in now, and everything's slacking off.
Okay. Alright. So we will get this. Worked into there. I think I need just a little bit more on this other peak because it looks a little meh. Doesn't really look all that great. It's just a baby peak, but it's looking kind of peaked. Did somebody just whine?
Snuffles wheeze loudly.
Okay. Alright. That brushed down there. Oh, my nose is itchy. I feel like I've got fluff stuck to the end of it. I need to blow my nose. 1 second, you guys. Sorry about that. I need you to go put the AC on too, because it's getting a little warm in here. Alright. So, Steve's mixing his highlight color, so he's going to take a little bit of white. Okay. So white. And a blue. I don't really have that shade of blue, Steve. No? No, I don't. Like, not that's like dark like that. No, I really don't. Well, I mean, I've got a few shades of blue, but that ain't one of them. I mean, it kind of looks like this color, to be perfectly honest. We can try. We can try. That's all we can do, right? Temperature to drop on Thursday. Drop to what exactly? Okay, so I want to pull it apart a little bit, right? Because we want to see. Oh, this is going to be a trial. Trying to get that on in there. So try to get that worked into there. And then this, I'm just scraping the surface, trying to line up my fluff here where I need it to be. Or where I think I need it to be. Roughly. So this is white that I grabbed. It doesn't look very white on top of this, but it is the shade that I grabbed. Now, trying to stab in the little wispy bits. Excuse me. will take a little bit of time. And might have to add a couple layers of it to get it to your desired look. Just to be aware. Now you could go in with a little bit of a thicker piece right away. That is your choice, your decision. I like building it up slowly, so that way it doesn't get too much too quick. As can happen. And then you just have to figure out how you want to shape your piece, basically. Like, where do you want your highlights to be? Where do you want your shadows coming into play? Now, I don't know if this is gonna look funky if I use the same watercolor as my shadow. It might look a little odd. Potentially. Wanted that white to be a little bit brighter, a little bit solid, a little bit more solid than what I've got in there. In spots, like not the entirety of it, because we do want it to have some breaks in there so that we can see our mountain base color. So we're gonna very carefully start to work this in, and I'm gonna butt up against the white, but I'm gonna come down in a different angle. And I'm probably gonna have to do some trimming here carefully. To try to get this popped into here. Remember, if you're gonna scrape to get your fluff positioned where you want it to, you're scraping the surface. You're not stabbing it and pulling. That would snap your needle. Just want to run along the surface. Okay. So that's not really all that visible, so we're going to add a little bit more. Might have to build it up just a little bit. I don't want it to overtake everything, but I do want it somewhat visible. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some kind of land coming in here, separating out the base of the mountain. And this water somewhere in here. So I'm going to grab just a little bit more of my white here. Just working on getting that. Just so that's a little bit visible. Alright, so I mean, doing what we can here. Alright. Just gonna get a little bit more of our snow worked into here. Running or wanting to run away with my fluff. That is mine. Where do you think you're going? Don't you want to live on the magnet? You don't want to live on the floor, trust me. Cats will have you, the dogs will have you. It won't be a good time. You'll get ground into the carpet. Or at least the area rug. So we don't have carpet in here, we just have like a throw rug. As inexpensive as I can get away with from Walmart. Like barely fits under my desk. It's a little small. let's see if we can kind of work that down in between. Maybe. It was gonna be kind of hard to get in there sideways. Alright. So let's start getting in the next round of snow here. At least that's what we're trying to do. Needs a bit more snow in this section, I think. It's hard with trying to get it in there and have it look like it's enough, but still have it kind of do the breaks. It's much easier to paint these than to felt these guys in. I will say that. I would much rather paint them. Much. Much, much, much. Alright. So we'll get this guy popped into this section. It is just a bit messy now. Just kind of seems a little disorganized, a little messy. These I'm not that good at. But we keep trying. Because that's how we improve, is we keep trying. Right? We haven't done that many mountains small, though. Not with needle felting. Where we're actually doing highlights and shadows. A lot of the mountains that he's done recently, he just kind of like made it the indication of something. You okay?
Yeah, just getting a drink.
Alright, let's get some shadow color here. Probably a little too much shadow color. Like, I could have gone with like a sky blue, but he didn't have his shadow that light of a blue. So I was a little hesitant to go super light, you know? Didn't want it to be a super light shadow. Because that wouldn't really have done us any favors. Alright, I think I do need a little bit more of our highlight. Just to kind of fill that in a little bit more. But now the rest of it looks a little peaked, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Alright, that is probably good. And it kind of looks mountainy. Kinda. Sorry, needed a drink. I've got some orange juice. I've got a half orange juice, half cranberry. Okay. So, Steve, what you got for us next? Alright, he's just kind of fussing. And he's gonna kind of fog the bottom. Okay, so he's doing a foothill. You're using so many shades of blue, Steve. Really, Steve? No, what color am I supposed to do with that? My guy. We might have to do just like one solid chunk of foothill. He changed his mind. Is he just winging this? So he's making a brown? Uh, kinda. Oh, by the time I get to hide it on OBS, the ad's already done. So, he's got the... Click the right window. So then he starts putting in some trees. Okay. Alright, Steve, I'm gonna back you the F right up. Okay. So we need to do these foothills. What time is it? 2. Where are we? We're almost halfway through the tutorial. Hmm. Alright. So maybe we'll just do the foothills today. Oh, Steve. So what color did we just use? We used night navy. Oh, goodness me. I have a dark denim. Which might be similar to night navy. Actually, might be the same color. They're two different companies, so. They're very close. So maybe not dark denim. Let me connect to the midnight blue. Alright, you're a little different. Okay, those are definitely different. I guess we'll go with the midnight blue. Let me rehang this bag. Okay. Click. Oh boy. The spine is clicky today. Alright. That's actually very blue. What are you? Midnight blue? Just like a tick darker than a royal. This might not be the right shade. This might be 2. Well, that's what we got, so that's what we're gonna go with. Alright. So we're just gonna have a solid foothill. I am going to probably bring you, yeah, we're gonna bring you across about here. Just to kind of give us some room to work with in here. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why did that fall?
What?
Just making sure you're okay.
I'm as good as I'm going to be. Ugh, fucking cramps.
Okay. Alright, so that's going to be like the baseline of that. Guess it's not too bright. Once we get it filled in there. Alright, so let's see. We'll fill that in there. Like, I don't know how tall I really want this one to be. But at the same time, I want it to be, you know, tall enough. Need to make it a little bit hilly. Needs to have some up and down to it. Okay. Especially since I'm only doing the one. He's got the two, but don't really have enough room to squeeze two in here, and the way he's got the shading in there so subtly, like, I'm not really gonna be able to get that to happen very easily. So we're just gonna kind of have to figure it out. So I think us figuring it out, we're just gonna do the one set of footy hill here. Hopefully I don't flatten it out too much. If I do, I'll have to add a little bit more, excuse me, roll to it, because that does look a little flat there, doesn't it? Somehow, leave it to me to flatten out a hill. I'm your girl. Probably because I was trying to make it a little more subtle, but sometimes subtlety just isn't what we're looking for. I know his is a little bit lower. I get that. But that's his. Ours will not be that low in front of this guy. It's just not gonna. Alright. Now, of course, my foothill over on this side doesn't look all that hilly. So I'm gonna have to add just a little bit more of a roll in there. That's a little better. That's a little bit better. Alright, a little bit more water. Okay. And we'll just work on getting this all stabbed in now. As best as we can. It's gonna take a minute because we gotta get that all filled in. I don't know if we've used this color yet. This might be the first time we're using this one. So that's kind of fun. Okay. Now we are going to shave down the back of this with the same razor that we used to clean our mat. Just so we don't have as much loose fuzz. Not really loose, but, you know, long fuzz. We want to shorten that up. So that way we can ensure that we get good contact with the back of the piece into the magnet backing. And I just use some hot, I use Tacky Glue on the backing. I don't really trust the hot glue on the backing. Hot glue and I don't always see eye to eye, and sometimes it can be a little bumpy. Just how it is. Just gonna fill in that thin spot right there, that little gap that I somehow managed to keep missing. Now this was probably actually a little bit thinner. I did it again. It flattened out again. Well, not entirely, but this probably should be a little bit thinner. If you come in at an angle, sometimes you can kind of nudge it a bit and change its positioning a little. Sometimes. Not all the time. But more often than not. Alright, just trying to nudge that line a little bit higher. It really should be a little bit. A little tiny spot there that's like refusing to fill in. Oh, you go over there. You okay, Pupper?
What's wrong?
Somebody was doing. He's doing like the reverse sneeze sound.
Oh yeah, I see it now.
Everybody's getting hit with the allergies today. People and doggos. Alright. Some more fluff and stuff. Okay. Fill that in there. We're getting there. Slowly. We're getting there. Okay. That might be a little bit big for the space. That's not so bad. I might try to shape that foothill just a little bit more. Potentially. If I can get the right layer to cooperate. We might be able to. Oh. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Alright. We are shaping it a little bit here. Alright, that's a little bit better. We got our roundness back a bit. Alright. So there's that. I think we'll stop there for today. And then next week we will start to do these trees. So he's got these trees. And he's got a little bit of that ground coming in there. So we will work on that next week. That sounds like a plan. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. I do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow the socially links. We've got links to the eBay store, the Ko-fi, the Blue Sky, which is where I'm at now. I left Twitter. And the YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for the last couple of Bear and Breakfasts. Will be coming out probably, I think there's one going up tomorrow night, and then there'll be 2 more going up next week, and then that'll be it on Bear and Breakfast, I think. And then I should have or maybe it's the week after, because Honey I Joined a Cult is like the very end of May, beginning of June is when that's gonna start going up. And I've got that scheduled through like the middle of July. So, yeah, so you guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be doing Planet Zoo tomorrow. So have a good evening, stay safe, and until next time.